Oh my gosh, you won't believe how Elon Musk is now saying he's lost faith in humanity because of somebody who's trying to publicly out Elon, who works at Twitter, or should I say, worked at Twitter. And oh man, stay tuned for this. 2 parts in this video. First Tesla update, then Twitter. Wow, this is nutty. All right, now we gotta talk Tesla and Twitter and some of the craziness that's happening out there. So Tesla just slashed the prices of the Model S and X by $5,000 and $10,000 respectively. So that means $5K on the S and $10K on the X. The Model S and X, and keep in mind, there's a lot here. We're gonna talk about BYD, and we're also gonna talk about some insanity happening at Twitter. But you've got the Tesla Model S and X now receiving the best resale value within a group of 28 US 2023 models receiving the Best Resale Value Award. That's fantastic for Tesla. Some of those that ranked in the high rankings were, number 1, the Toyota Tundra, number 2, the Toyota Tacoma, which tied in then, I suppose, second or third place with the Model X. Then you add other models like the Ford Bronco, the Corvette, the Toyota 4Runner, Honda Civic, Ford Maverick, Subaru Gorstec, I don't know what that is, and the Jeep Gladiator. Anyway, the top 28 models, pretty broad. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to fall into the top 28 models. So I'm not like super jazzed about Kelly Blue Book's argument here that, hey, these are cars with the best resale value. But it is cool that the Model S and X were featured in it. Notably, the Model 3 and Y were not. Now, I find that interesting. Because at the same time as these ratings are coming out and you're seeing these price cuts over at Tesla, you also have Tesla in talks still with Indonesia about potentially building a factory in Indonesia. Now, this is according to Reuters. Reuters just reporting that EV production incentives are being increased in Indonesia. They're not spending a lot of money on sort of these incentives, so it's probably just politically motivated to try to encourage other manufacturers to come to Indonesia. For example, Reuters is talking about how up to 200,000 motorcycles and 35,900 electric vehicles are going to get small incentives to increase EV adoption. They're also providing around $457.82 stimulus money to individuals to convert gas vehicles to EV or hybrid. I have no idea how $457 is going to do that, but in that same vein, Reuters is reporting that Indonesia is still working on finalizing negotiations with Tesla to potentially build a factory in Indonesia. There is a large amount of nickel in Indonesia, so we know that Tesla wants to get closer to raw materials. But then again, we also know that Tesla is trying to stay away from nickel-based batteries and believes that nickel-based batteries might only end up being important in the future. For really long-range vehicles or even planes, and that potentially for cars, we don't actually need nickel-based batteries. So it'll be interesting to see if Tesla does end up manufacturing any kind of or building any kind of manufacturing plant in Indonesia. Keep in mind, Elon Musk is really anti the idea of copy and pasting factories. That is something that I've been calling for over a year, but I'll take the L on that one. Elon Musk seems much more interested in basically doing customized style factories around the world, or maybe in Mexico and Northeast Mexico, where we're still waiting on permits for that development to begin. But the politicians are pretty much, like super excited about Tesla coming. You can say some inappropriate things about how excited they seem to be about Tesla coming, but let's just say they're rolling over to do whatever Tesla needs. So I expect Tesla will be getting those permits very quickly to manufacture a potentially next-gen vehicle manufacturing facility in Northeast Texas. Now, what's also interesting is Elon Musk is getting a little bit of heat. Hi, Jack. You want to come say hi? Elon Musk is getting a little bit of heat for what's going on at Twitter. Come on in here. Say hi. Did you just wake up, little guy?
I heard you because...
Oh, you heard me because I left the door open? I hope I didn't wake you. Sorry. No, I didn't? All right.
Because I wake up in the middle of the night to go in Mom's bed.
Okay, you're going to go over to Mom's bed. Deal. Thanks, dude, for coming in. We'll see you later. You can hang out if you want. Anyway, so, another thing to know is I read, sometimes I like to read the South China Post, and, be careful clicking stuff. What I really like about the South China Post is even though we know it's probably super biased because, well, it's basically Chinese state-controlled media, right? One of the things that I think is really cool is take a look at this, what they say in this potentially state-controlled media. Over here, China's two sessions, 2023. Anyway, it says here, outgoing premier vows, quote, even greater business opportunities for foreign investment. And what you see here is, while acknowledging that external demand will remain relatively weak, China is signaling its intent to better integrate global trade and enhance China's appeal to foreign investors. And at the bottom of the article here, it talks about how they want to facilitate the launch of landmark foreign-funded projects, kind of like what happened with Tesla Gigafactory Shanghai, which is one of Li Qiang's major achievements during his term in Shanghai. Whether more projects like this will be launched is something we should look forward to. So look at that, for example. You basically have the South China Post here talking about how China wants to be more open economically to capitalism. It reiterates what President Xi Jinping says about China, that, hey, we want more foreign direct investment in China. And in the Chinese propaganda papers, they're basically saying, hey, you know what a great example of foreign investment is? Tesla. So they're actually propping up Tesla. A lot of Tesla investors have been concerned that there's a possibility Tesla might end up getting sort of restrictions placed on Giga Shanghai because Xi Jinping is basically fighting the United States, and there's some combativeness between the two countries here regarding sanctions or trade restrictions, chip restrictions, whatever. So a lot of Tesla investors are worried, crap, you know, what does that mean for Tesla if Xi Jinping could probably just flick his fingers or snap his fingers and put limitations on Giga Shanghai. In fact, there are already some limitations on Giga Shanghai. Giga Shanghai potentially wants to double from 1 million vehicles per year to potentially 2 million vehicles per year. But you're actually seeing some restrictions being placed on that expansion. So this could be China just talking out of both sides of its mouth, but let me put it this way. Out of a bottom line on China and Tesla, I actually think it's phenomenal that China is bragging about Giga Shanghai, because it means that if Giga Shanghai ends up getting the middle finger from China, you're going to have even fewer American companies want to trust in China to invest in China. And it's one of the reasons I think you're seeing companies like Foxconn, Apple, and a lot of companies starting to invest in countries like India and Indonesia instead, because they're worried about China. So China really has a lot of damage that they need to repair for their reputation if they really want to double down on this idea of let's get more foreign direct investment into China. And that's why you're seeing a lot of attention on Indonesia and India right now. India potentially being that place where people think the per capita income in India could 10x. Thailand is also getting a massive boost, $57 billion going into EVs and smart electronics by 2030, they believe. They think in Thailand they're going to create 625,000 new EV jobs and boost productivity. Massive priorities. BYD is looking to also increase manufacturing in Thailand. On top of that, traders over at BYD are looking at BYD trying to diversify away from China, especially since reports are now out that dealers are cutting prices at BYD after Tesla cut prices, then XPeng and NIO cut prices, and now apparently BYD is cutting prices, and their margins are already really tight. They take maybe 3% to the bottom line, and if they cut prices 3%, people are like, how is BYD going to make any money? Now, BYD issued a statement on this, and they say, hey, look, those are distributors' promotional discounts. Those are not official cuts from BYD, says BYD. The Chinese media is reporting that, hey, you know what? BYD is slashing prices. So you're kind of seeing excessive price cuts throughout the entire EV industry, potentially to rejigger demand. You're seeing a lot of fear right now in BYD pricing, the stock pricing, which is lagging Tesla's, particularly because people are worried about a lack of PP or a lack of pricing power that BYD might end up having. So you're seeing some massive movement over here at BYD and how the stock is trading solely because of these price cuts. So, and that's all thanks to Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, well, I mean, it would have happened anyway, probably, but Elon Musk starting potentially this price war. Initially, a lot of people thought, oh, BYD will be insulated. Yeah, oops, nope, not likely. Now, who else is not insulated, and I think this is really interesting, is what's going on at Twitter. Let's talk about some of the craziness that's going on at Twitter, because there's talk about bodyguards going into Twitter bathrooms with Elon Musk. There's talk about Twitter's profitability still being a little bit of an issue. We're going to look at exactly that. I do want to remind you that, of course, I've got amazing programs on building your wealth linked down below, which give you phenomenal perspective on building your wealth. 0 to millionaire real estate investing, stocks and psychology money course. Those are the top 2 most popular. We did just launch the revamped Elite Hustlers program, which comes with its own exclusive live streams in addition to the course member live streams that every course member gets. They're pretty incredible for entrepreneurs and self-employed people, as well as employees looking to increase their revenue and decrease their taxes. But let's jump into this over here. This is Twitter's revenue. Adjusted earnings apparently fell 40% in December, according to the Wall Street Journal. This is an update. In an update to investors, Twitter reported a decline of 40% year-over-year revenue. Now, this is different from in November when we were looking at year-over-year numbers. It was potentially as bad as a 90% decline in advertisers actually spending money at Twitter. So it seems like things are getting a little bit better at Twitter, but you're still having some insane firings happening at Twitter, which is creating a lot of fear over at Twitter that the worst is not over yet. What you've got over here is Musk purchase of the company with annual interest payments estimated at more than $1 billion in just interest payments. Now, they did make their first interest payment already, but what's worth noting is that the company is saying some advertisers are reporting to the platform and the company expects to break even in 2023, but the interest payment at Twitter is probably hitting a rate of somewhere around 15% for the interest paid over at Twitter. You also have a company that's gone from about 8,000 employees to about 2,000 employees, so massive, massive cuts over at Twitter. Now, on one hand, more cuts at Twitter is good for Tesla investors because obviously Tesla stock was the piggy bank that led to the acquisition of Twitter for Elon Musk. The piggy bank continued to be broken to be able to fund losses at Twitter. According to the Wall Street Journal, more losses are occurring, especially since revenue is basically down 40%. Now, that's a problem. Now, if expenses can be cut substantially, that's fantastic because Twitter wasn't even profitable before Elon Musk took over, which is a problem. But let's just say if we can get a decline in advertising from somewhere around maybe 80 to 90% when Elon Musk first took over in October to just a 40% decline, and staff is cut somewhere around 70 to 80%, maybe we can indeed get to that path to profitability. Now remember, Elon Musk promises, and it's just a promise, so he could U-turn on it, that he should not have to sell more Tesla stock in 2023. Hopefully he doesn't have to sell more Tesla stock in 2024. But he's leaving open the idea of having to sell Tesla stock again in 2025. That has also led to a massive increase in the number of people who are actually buying, especially retail investors who are buying Tesla stock. The number of retail investors buying Tesla stock has exploded. Last year, we put in about $15 to $17 billion of HODL stock as retail investors. This year, to date, by March 7th, we've already put in about $13 billion of HODL money. It's insane, absolutely insane. Another thing that is insane is take a look at some of these reports that we're seeing going on over at Twitter. So first thing we're going to do is look at this tweet storm over here. Here, you've got somebody writing, "Dear Elon Musk, 9 days ago, the access to my work computer was cut along with 200 other Twitter employees. By the way, one of those other 200 Twitter employees in 2020 beat me on buying one of those full house homes in San Francisco. If you actually type into YouTube, Meet Kevin full house home painted lady, you'll see me walking through and analyzing the deal. I'm really glad I didn't buy it because I would have gotten sandbagged with it during COVID and run through all the San Francisco politics that go into renovations. But one of the Twitter employees who sold her company to Twitter ended up also being part of these 200 employees that just had their access to their computers turned off on Saturday, and just this week are finding out that they got fired. Now, what's really interesting is this tweet storm and the way it sort of breaks down. Look at this. 9 days ago, access to my work computer was cut, along with 200 other Twitter employees. However, your head of HR has not been able to confirm whether I'm an employee or not. You've not answered my emails. Maybe if enough people retweet, you'll be able to answer me here. Well, this ended up getting like 15,000 retweets. And this person ends up trying to tag Jack and other people. Elon Musk ends up replying. Listen to this. Elon Musk replies with, "What work have you been doing?" And he replies, hey, well, I'll need to break confidentiality to break that question or to basically tell you what I've been doing here. And Elon replies, it's approved. You go ahead. And so the individual replies, among other things, led an effort to save about $500,000 on one SaaS contract, supported closing down many others. Really sounds like a lot of cost cutting going on. Led the prioritization of design projects across the country to make sure we were able to deliver with a small team. Okay, so you prioritized what you were working on. Okay, got it. Led design crits to help level up design across the country. Company. Okay, I don't personally know what that means, design crits, but then again, I'm not in that world. Was a hiring manager for all design roles. Okay, well, I don't think Twitter's hiring right now, so that's probably not a good thing. Worked on efforts to steer the company away from focusing on power users and onto younger users because our user base is aging. Now, I thought that was really interesting, suggesting that the Twitter user base is getting older, so let's move away from power users and focus more on younger Twitter people. Okay. I could go on. Am I allowed to talk about how the company has operated since you took over? Now, this is kind of like dangerous and risky to say that because you're kind of like talking to the boss like, hey, can I like basically publicly potentially talk about how you suck as a boss? And then also the original question, can we talk about that as to whether or not I'm still employed? And then he actually updates his tweet to say, the HR manager actually did just miraculously reply, so I finally have confirmation that I no longer work at Twitter. The next question is how you will make sure I get paid for what I'm owed per my contract. Okay, let me first say, if you're going to try to publicly out your boss about how you're upset that your access has been disabled and you're complaining about how basically your job was hiring people and leading teams that potentially don't exist anymore, and you're curious about whether your job still exists, I understand maybe some more clear-cut communication on Saturday would have been nice, rather than your computer just getting shut off. But what's pretty remarkable here is this suggestion that, okay, well, how are you going to make sure I still get paid per my contract? Like, if I was somebody looking to hire someone in the world of tech, and I'm like, hey, maybe you were a great worker at Twitter, but you're no longer needed, I guarantee you I would not hire this person for the attitude here. Like, look, the first one, I don't blame you, okay? You didn't hear back, so it's like, hey, man, like, maybe people can help me out on Twitter. Totally fair game. Like, that one, fair game, okay? This one, like, going into describing about what you're doing, fair game, fine. You know what? You're either not needed anymore or you're needed. What's up, Jack?
How do you spell tube?
YouTube? Like that?
Yeah.
There you go. Jack's replying to people in the comments. Go ahead. You can hit enter. So anyway, so you know, that fair game. But as soon as you get into this threat of, hey, can I talk about how the company has operated since you took over? And my original question, how come you haven't replied yet? Oh, now I'm miraculously getting a reply from HR. How convenient now that I'm getting views on Twitter. Oh, and can you make sure I get paid? It's like, like not the way, in my opinion, to try to set yourself up to getting a job somewhere else. Personally, that kind of discussion would not be getting hired by me. Now, this didn't actually even end here. It got even worse. You ready for this? This is like next level entertaining, honestly. This is like, I feel bad that I'm laughing because, like, obviously people have lost their jobs, but on the other, and Elon's going through a lot of stress, so both sides are probably not very happy. But this is entertaining. Like, look at this, okay? Somebody here writes, Alex Cohen writes, I'm not gonna lie, this is the most entertaining exit interview I've ever witnessed. But then take a look at this. Elon Musk actually replies to this. And what does he have to say? He says, the reality is that this guy who is independently wealthy, now this is Elon saying this, okay, we don't know, but anyway, did no actual work and claimed his excuse that he had a disability that prevented him from typing, yet was simultaneously tweeting up a storm. Can't say I have a lot of respect for that. Alex Cohen replies, it's obvious he did all middle management work from that exchange, but I personally would not have put an ex-employee on blast and force him to prove his worth in front of 100+ million people. I mean, this is true, but then again, the other person kind of asked for, like, hey, like, Elon, you're not replying to me, like, kind of in some sense putting Elon on blast. Now, technically, it's like, hey, if you get locked out of your laptop on a Saturday, it'd be nice to know if you're getting fired that day and not a week later, so you kind of kind of makes sense that it's kind of like, hello, but, you know, you can kind of point the fingers in both ways in this direction. And in this case, the employee's kind of like, hey, man, come on, man, Elon, you know, you want me to tell the world about what's really been going on at Twitter while you've been gone? And, you know, Elon's giving it back. Now, is that the best idea? No, it's going to make a lot of people not want to work for Elon because it's like, man, you know, it's kind of like date Taylor Swift, you get a song written about you. I don't know, maybe that's good or bad. Work for Elon Musk and get fired. Maybe you get bitched at on Twitter. I don't know, maybe that's good, maybe it's bad. Maybe this person gets so much attention now, somebody else wants to hire him. I personally wouldn't want to hire him for the crap that I saw here, you know, but whatever. Let's keep going here. So what happened here? Look at this. He has a prominent active Twitter account and is wealthy. The reason he confronted me in public was to get a big payout. Ouch. That's potentially either from Twitter or from, you know, legal potential confrontation, right? You attract attorneys who are like, dude, let me take your case, let me take your employment law case, and we'll sue Elon, we'll get you a few extra $1 million. You know, somebody could be wealthy and still want to get another big payout, right? Because then you could become more wealthy, because that's, for some reason, the psychological problem humans have. You get a certain amount of money, and then that's no longer good enough, and then you want more. Anyway. Elon goes on to say, from what I've been told, he's done almost no work for the past 4 months, middle management or otherwise. Despite his claims on Twitter that he did work, it turns out he told Human Resources that he couldn't work because he couldn't type, but was, over the same period, typing up a storm on Twitter. Yet there are many people on Twitter defending him. This hurts my faith in humanity. Whew, it ain't even over yet what's going on Twitter, okay? We still got to talk about the bodyguards and the whole, like, dudes going to the bathroom with Elon Musk's thing. But this isn't it. Like, there's actually even more now, apparently more talk about what's going on with what the employee allegedly was supposed to work on. And then Elon Musk replying with laughing emojis. Oh boy. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. The employee actually replies and goes, and now finally to my fingers, which I know you have great concern for. Thank you for that, by the way. I'll tell you what I told them. I'm not able to do manual work, which in this case means typing or using a mouse for extended periods of time without my hands starting to cramp. Oh God, dude, then don't work at Twitter. What the hell kind of response is that? Hey guys, hey, look, Elon, I'll tell you what I told HR. I can't work any more than 30 minutes because then we're gonna get a cramp. Oh God. Oh man, what is this world coming to? I also contacted HR regularly and asked if my job description was correct or needed updating. Okay, like, it sounds annoying. Like, honestly, I could not handle, geez, Lord. Anyway, we don't make fun of any problems here. Obviously, that, you know, potentially wouldn't give him a cramp because he says he only needs one finger to type on Twitter, or I guess in theory you could use Siri. After all, he does allege that he has muscular dystrophy, but then again, you know, if you can't do a certain job, do you deserve to get paid for that particular job? If you're no longer needed, then maybe you aren't belonging at a particular company. If there's no use for a middle manager basically managing other people and you being incapable of doing physical work at a job that might otherwise require physical work. I mean, it's kind of like the reality is if you're somebody who nails studs together because you're a framing contractor and you can no longer do that because you have muscular dystrophy, yeah, that sucks, but then again, that's also what disability is for. Now, should Elon or a contractor pay you to stand there and supervise people if a supervisor isn't particularly needed for that role? Well, the answer is probably not. So I don't necessarily think anybody's trying to make fun of the individual for having a medical ailment. You know, I pray that anybody's medical ailments go away. I don't think it's fair that anybody has to deal with any kind of longer-term medical ailment, but, you know, it's also interesting that in the same vein as the individual's talking about basically having this medical issue with not being able to work with his hands, apparently now he's opening a restaurant in Iceland, which, okay, I mean, I guess if you could just sort of point at people and tell them what to do, that'll work, but I don't know many people who actually run successful restaurants who don't actually have to use their hands all the time. But then again, you know what? Best wishes. You know, in another area, the employee basically talks about how he worked on projects like cutting the contract costs of Figma, which Figma is basically like a brainstorming app, which is kind of like, wait, why did you have to cut $500,000 of a contract for Figma? Were you really paying that much to Figma in the first place? If that's what all you really did, why do you belong on Twitter anyway? Somebody else here puts it well and says, reading between the lines, that guy knew he was already fired for being useless, but wanted to make it public to draw attention, to make it easier to fight for his severance pay. Elon Musk replies to that, says correct. Good Lord. But let's, you know what, let's just move on from this and let's just, you know what, let's talk about Elon going to the bathroom with some dudes. It, at the same time, is leading to a lot of fear because look what you have here. The Daily Beast is now reporting that bodyguards are following Elon Musk everywhere at Twitter, even to the restroom. Billionaire Elon Musk is routinely followed around at Twitter headquarters by 2 bulky bodyguards, even when he goes to the restroom, according to a Twitter engineer. 2 bearded guards went viral back in January after they accompanied Musk at a securities fraud trial and appeared to have accompanied him to Twitter after his $44 billion purchase. A Twitter engineer identified only as Sam says wherever he goes in the office, there are at least 2 bodyguards, very bulky, tall, Hollywood movie bodyguards, even when he goes to the restroom. He said constant use of bodyguards suggested that Musk, who has sacked a huge number of Twitter staff, including coders, does not trust his remaining staff. Yeah. Anyway, pretty crazy. Pretty wild stuff that's going on. So obviously, still a lot of Twitter tensions. Those Twitter tensions have the real potential of weighing on Tesla stock in the future because as we know, Tesla stock is Elon Musk's piggy bank. So drama going on at Twitter does matter for Tesla. And anybody who tells you otherwise does not understand finance. Now, look, I think everybody still has a lot to learn in finance. And I don't think that learning is a bad idea. Everybody can learn more. But anybody who says that Elon Musk selling Tesla did not lead to the massive downtrend and massive ability to short Tesla to the dirt last year is out of their freaking mind. Tesla's massive collapse last year was primarily the responsibility of Elon Musk selling shares to buy Twitter. Now, yes, that led to a trend. Yes, there was some other bad news that contributed to some decline, but not down to $100. That was insane. That was a fundamental deal of the century, and it was all a response or all a result of, in my opinion, the Twitter hack. So, therefore, some of the madness that's going on at Twitter, in my opinion, if you're a Tesla investor, important to pay attention to. Hey, thanks so much for watching and subscribing, as well as sharing the videos. In case you've enjoyed it, make sure to consider getting more perspective via the links down below in becoming a millionaire through real estate investing. It's one of our most popular courses, 0 to Millionaire Real Estate Investing. That is often bundled with the Stocks and Psychology of Money group or the Do-It-Yourself Property Management and Rental Renovations Guide. After that, you can also check out the Elite Hustlers, which has its own special exclusive live stream for people looking to make more money as an individual earner, or that is as an entrepreneur, or as an employee. And of course, check out the other programs specifically for agents or YouTube content creators.